Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of the It Be Like That podcast, where me, Nakib, Tamid, Pratik, and Rafi, as my co-hosts, we're gonna just try to have some fun, talk about some things that we really want to talk about, and kind of sit here and do nothing like we usually do, and hope some people have some entertainment out of this. So,
I'd like to think we got a little bit more going on than just nothing at all, right? There's some quality banter, so we figure why not share our quality banter
yeah,
with everyone else or anyone else who cares to
yeah.
listen.
Anyone who's listening who's a real one. Anyone who's not is not, and I'm gonna hold it against you for as long as I live. Just putting it
Uh,
out there.
Nothing like emotional blackmail, episode 1 to really start the
Hey,
season
hey,
off.
man, we were all raised like that. Don't talk to me, please. All right. So, how we're gonna actually do this is we have a few topics that we're actually gonna get through for each episode. To start off, pretty much every episode, we like to do this segment called "What the fuck happened." I guess what the fuck happened today. We look through Reddit or Twitter or anywhere to see something that we found interesting to talk about. A lot of it would probably be world news, right? I'm assuming it's probably gonna end up being world news.
More than likely, probably, but we'll see where
Yeah.
this goes, right?
Yeah,
This is still our pilot episode here.
very much a pilot episode. Um, and we're just going to talk about that, start it off with that, and then we have a few topics that we want to get into right after. So, guys, to start off for the first one, I actually had something prepared. I don't know if everyone else saw this, but there's an investigation that was launched into Trump's political interference in the CDC and FDA's coronavirus work. There's an article um, on the Independent, the UK newspaper. I'll link it to everyone. And if anyone has already seen it or read it, we can just get straight into it. But essentially, what it's saying is the CDC and FDA are saying that Trump had political interference by preventing them for publishing the proper mandates and announcements for to manage with the coronavirus. Uh, yeah, essentially, and I mean, again, we are a little biased here because this is going to be a little dem-sided. Right here it
I
says the
think that's
CD.
fair to say. That's
Yeah,
probably a good disclaimer for anyone
yeah,
listening that,
yeah.
like, you're probably not going to get a lot of love for Trump here. And
Most likely
while,
not.
I don't think anyone here is like a blind Democrat for life.
Yeah.
For
Oh
yeah,
my
wonderful.
god, dude, we're gonna have
Right.
to. Oh,
no, no.
For
Ruffy.
pretty
Turn
plausible
off my
reasons,
voice
I'd like
box.
to think we're all anti-Trump, right? But as
Yeah.
for this thing, I think the biggest thing is that the fact that an investigation got launched into it is genuinely, like, it's not surprising
Mhm.
given how much overt, like, political bias was shown by the administration in terms of trying to either curtail or just limit the amount of information that came out about the coronavirus, right?
Mhm.
Or I don't know if you guys saw this a couple of weeks back, but there was a thing that came out that showed that basically the coronavirus task force, especially Jared Kushner, basically led the idea in the administration that, hey, instead of having a nationwide plan to deal with the virus, let's do it state by state, because the states that are getting the most hit by it are Democratic blue states. So then we can just blame their governors and try and get more people in those states to vote for us,
Who said this?
right? I can try and find the article for it, but
Mhm.
it was basically, I believe it was Jared Kushner,
Oh,
Trump's shitty son-in-law.
yeah.
Um, right.
He
So
he held some office. What office does he hold? He's not.
they
He's
don't hold office. That's the thing. His family all hold advisor positions.
he's a Trump
Right?
advisor. Ah, yes,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's what it
yeah.
was. He
So
doesn't hold
you can
official
appoint
position.
anyone to an
Yeah,
advisor that
yeah,
requires no
yeah.
qualification. So a little bit of nice nepotism, 1, 2, 3, and you got your daughter working as an
Yeah.
advisor. You got your son-in-law working as an advisor.
Okay, we're not gonna get into the dynastic undertones of this administration, are we now? What do we talk about the actual problem that this article is saying about? Well, I feel like this is very much like known, I guess, at least for the most part, where we haven't handled the virus at like well at all, considering at the very peak of everything, hospitals are not getting the right equipment and everything that we really needed. I mean, but that's actual equipment, but actually preventing the CDC or the FDA to send out announcements, that seems, I don't know, kind of maniacal, if I were to say so myself.
Sounds pretty evil, I agree.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's uncharacteristic. They've been like they've been saying the science doesn't know for a while now.
Hmm.
He initially when the coronavirus was mainstream, he started saying how China did a great job at holding it down, and then I mean obviously that's not true because the whole world got it. And
Yeah.
even then, he was talking about how he did a great job. He did a great job. Now we have like what 215K dead in the U.S.
Yeah.
And he blamed and he said that New York did a terrible job, which I mean we have a lot of deaths. I agree, but I think that's just because of population debt intensity. Um, and now he's still saying how we're shit, even though. Oh, can I curse?
Yeah. By all means.
Oh, okay,
I'm
okay,
pretty
yeah,
sure
yeah.
we
He
can,
was.
given the segment is called "What the fuck happened today."
Oh, true. Wait. Right. My bad. I
The
Well,
PG
fuck
barrier
you.
has been broken.
Well,
I
suck my
haven't eaten
balls.
all day. I'm exhausted. But yeah, like they were talking a lot of shit about New York, even though right now we've got it down pretty well. I know
True.
that our numbers aren't exponentially increasing, unlike other states. Other states are, I mean, we have a lot.
I mean, ever since our
They
uptick,
have a
we've
lot.
been staying steady at around 1.2, 1.3 thousand ever since the uptick happened at towards the end of the
Yeah.
summer, which where we were coasting at around 500 or 600 beforehand if I'm remembering correctly. Now, there's a like this argument that like yeah, New York fucked up. I think that was in the very beginning, but if I remember like I
It's
was
because
out of
we
town.
were first.
Yeah, we were
Sorry,
first.
we
what?
were
Like
we were
I was out of
first. The
town.
thing with New York fucking up is the issue here is that a lot of the people who use New York for like rhetoric against how the state performed, right, isn't so much, hey, look at the numbers and look how much the spike came down. They look at Cuomo and they keep pointing at the fact that nursing homes were temporarily used to house COVID-19 patients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which at the time, I believe Cuomo came out and said that, hey, Trump said you could do this, so he did do that because New York was so overwhelmed. As a result, unfortunately, some elderly people got COVID-19 who maybe would not have been
Right.
as likely to get it. But the whole thing is, as Pratik was saying, like New York got hit so early on as one of the biggest epicenters
Yeah.
back in what, February, March, right?
It was March is when
I
we
don't
shut
know.
down. March is exactly when like the
Exactly.
end of
March is
March.
when we
Yeah.
shut down. By the point we shut down, like it was already a massive issue,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
And there was a lot less known about the virus at that time, or in terms of protocols and procedures.
because I
We
remember
didn't
like
have anything.
lockdown. Like we didn't have like no, we shut down though. Like so I mean
Right.
at least I'm remembering everything from the perspective of like school, right? So I was gone the Friday where we had the first I think it was the Iranian lawyer, not a it was a lawyer and his whole family. I remember that, right? I was gone that Friday. I came back Sunday, and on my way home, I was hearing that 80 people were infected in New York City. And by Thursday, because I remember I had my DP, which is my design project, on Wednesday. By Thursday, I wasn't going to school. Like we were shut down. So I don't know if we're judging by schools because that's what I remember. I don't know about the state. I don't know about restaurants. I don't know about
I
hospitals. I don't know. I don't remember when we exactly shut everything down. But I think stating that New York did a poor job is kind of bending the bending the truth there.
Here's the thing: is that bending the truth feels like it's like not an issue
Yeah.
when it comes to certain Republicans using trying to beat down what they consider like a not a success story, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have heard about Paul Ryan.
But the
He's
old
one of
speaker?
the
Oh,
what's
that's
up?
Ron Paul. That's Ron Paul. Sorry. Never
Ron,
mind.
no, yeah. Ron Paul is the speaker. Paul Ryan's a Republican senator,
Yeah.
and he had a back and forth with Dr. Fauci, basically where Fauci said what New York did was great, and this is like a model that other states could learn from. Whereas the senator was like, no, clearly they didn't do a good job because of nursing homes, and two, the only reason they're fine now is because they've achieved herd immunity, where so many people have gotten it. Most of the state is now immune to it, which then
My
Fauci
ass.
tried to explain is super not the case, but there's
My
no, there's
fucking
no reasoning
ass.
with some people.
I don't know.
I
Rafi,
don't even
you
know where the topic of. Oh, sorry, Rafi.
uh,
Did you say something?
no, I was saying Rafi's been
Oh,
quiet. Rafi, you have anything to
I
say?
Oh,
have. I mean, I don't know how people can say New York did a bad job when like New York was like, one of the hardest hit areas. Like
I think
remember
it
like
was
the
the
corpse
hardest
trucks
hit
outside the
area.
hospitals?
I think we were the hardest hit area in the nation, if not the world. I think we were really bad. I think we were like really, really bad.
Yeah,
It
we
got
had
it got
corpse
really bad.
trucks.
Yeah, they were
Outside
pushing.
We
Are we
did
talking
have
about the
corpse
US or the
trucks
New
outside
York
of hospitals.
state?
Dude, in the U.S., we were very much the worst, hardest hit, and then maybe Cali.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Sorry,
I mean,
I need to back up for a second.
Yeah.
You were right, Nikki. Paul Ryan is a speaker.
Yeah.
Rand Paul is the dumbass senator
There it
who
is,
said, "No, New York achieved herd immunity," and they're still trying to use that argument of herd immunity works, right?
I mean, it will, but there's no proving
No,
that.
no. The thing is, it will at the cost of the majority
Yep.
of the nation,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
I think Fauci came out and said at this point only 10% of the population has been affected by COVID-19. For herd immunity, and we've had 215,000 people or so die already. For
you would
herd
need
immunity
more,
to work, 10% has to go up to like 80 to 90.
Oh,
How many more people die
Oh.
along the way to achieve herd immunity?
to like.
I think 3%, right?
No, I mean, like if you consider, like, I was watching last week tonight, like earlier this morning, and watching half of it just now. We got rid of smallpox, right? The World Health Organization got rid of smallpox, what, 20, 30 years ago? Like,
Mhm.
completely eradicated. To completely eradicate a disease and to have the herd immunity that we do for, like, smallpox, we have to everyone has to either catch it or we get rid of the whole damn thing. Herd
Right.
immunity is not going to work if 10 people are in a room and 2 people are still infected. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I am not a biologist. I'm
This
not,
is
you know,
true. We should
I
make a
don't
disclaimer.
fucking know.
None of us four are actual medical doctors.
Yeah.
Everything we know are just a bunch of chuckle fucks trying
Yeah.
to read articles and understand what's going on.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't know. I think we're better chuckle fucks than the ones running the state, right? I'm
Oh
running the
my
country right now.
God.
Those chuckle fucks are like, oh, they're worldly chuckle fucks.
Yeah.
This is true.
But yeah, I think the survival rate is 97%, which sounds good if it's a test.
Mhm.
In terms of like what 200 million people, in terms of how many people we have in the country, that's not very good.
I
I
mean,
don't know. I
even
forgot
just
what the
3%.
survival rate
No,
is
no, you're
actually.
right. You're right to say that 97% in terms of a 97% chance of me winning the lottery. Bro, I'll take those odds in
Yeah.
a heartbeat.
Easy.
Right? A 97% chance, or 97% of the American population being wiped out is like you might as well like stab a Midwestern state and just be like, let me just chop these off the map. Right? Everyone here dead, gone, off to rapture with you.
Yeah.
You know,
It actually is like 3% death rate.
Speaking of, all of this COVID, I just saw this on our news. Texas woman dies from COVID-19 while on domestic flight. I didn't actually even read it. This is straight up the title, but this
She
is
get on the
interesting.
flight?
How the fuck do you get on the flight, dude? How
I
is
mean,
this allowed?
unless she was entirely asymptomatic until it
No,
killed
but-
her, but I don't understand how that
No,
would
but you
actually
should
work.
get tested before you get on flights now.
I mean, how would you die if you're asymptomatic?
I think maybe she just didn't have a fever because that's what they check for, right?
That's what
Yeah,
I'm
but
thinking.
wouldn't
Like,
you
maybe
have
she
a
wasn't
cough or
showing a fever,
something?
but like I would expect if you're gonna die, I feel like you would have a
Dude,
fever.
she's
but,
in
like,
her
we also don't
30s.
know.
She's in her 30s. She's not even old.
Maybe she had pre-existing conditions or something.
Maybe.
I'm not sure if it's for domestic flights too, but at least for international flights, you need to get tested and show your test results before they let you on the plane now.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming that's even for foreign governments because a lot of governments are just not letting people in. It's a lot harder, especially people from the U.S. I think I've heard that it's very difficult to get outside of the U.S. to go to other like first world countries.
Oh yeah,
at least.
most first world countries do not want
don't-
Americans. We
They don't
we are
fuck
the
with us right now.
hotspot of the world
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
Oh,
it's
yeah.
gotten to the point where
Yeah.
like, hey, what do you want to do? Go to Canada? Go to Europe? Get
Yeah.
out of here! You're not
Yeah.
coming in,
Yeah.
right?
Uh,
Just to circle back around for a second though,
Yeah.
because this whole conversation was prompted by the fact that the Trump administration is being investigated for essentially how they're treating the data for the CDC from the CDC. Do you remember back in, I believe it was June or July, there was a bit of an uproar because all hospitals were reporting their data to the HHS, right, the Department of Health and Human Services.
Mhm.
But instead, Trump decided that he wanted all the data to be sent to the CDC, right? And that sent up a bit of an uproar because the CDC, at least at the time, I believe a lot of people were arguing that the CDC has different standards for what they consider as cases, and also that this could be used to try and like either
wait, CDC
suppress
versus CDC
the CDC versus the HHS was
Is
the
the
issue back in
HSS
June.
Is the HSS another U.S. based?
Yeah, they're all
organization?
U.S. agencies,
No,
right?
not the World Health Organization, at least.
Oh no, not the World Health. No, HHS and the HHS is the Department of Health and Human Services,
Okay.
right? And then the CDC is of course Centers for Disease Control.
Yeah.
The issue here was that since the beginning of COVID, everything was being sent to the HHS, right?
Mhm.
Around June, July, or actually, if I'm looking at this article correctly, it says June 4th was when this first took place. Trump decided, hey, send this shit to the CDC, right?
Yeah.
And basically, that way, their administration has more control over what's being counted as cases and how those cases are being reported, right? So the fact that they're being investigated for this stuff is just, it's almost like, thank God, some amount of accountability is being brought to them, because otherwise they're just doing this willy nilly, right?
I mean-
Even recently, I don't know if you saw,
Yeah.
but Fauci came out and said that that the administration is limiting the number of hours and minutes he can spend on TV talking about the virus. Right, he has
Bro,
limited exposure and limited opportunity to even communicate about what's going on.
how is this not propaganda in a neatly wrapped present? How is this not
Well, it's
propaganda?
not neat.
It's not neat. It really
Usually
isn't neat. It looks
when
neat.
it's neat, people don't usually find out
It's neat to Fox News.
everything that you fuck up on.
It is neat to Fox News and everyone who watches Fox
Oh,
News.
yes.
And I don't care about stepping on any toes, but fuck Fox News, right? So, okay, I think we've kind of beaten that into all hell. Don't you guys think?
I suppose that's fair. That's a fair
Yeah.
statement.
Yeah.
Any-
I think
anyone
we've
have-
made all of our points pretty
Yeah.
clear, and our standings pretty obvious.
Anyone have anything else they want to? Did they see interesting on Reddit? It could be a dumb meme. It could be anything. Maybe a funny line.
Oh,
funny
we're
TikTok.
doing dumb memes.
It could
Dumb
be a
memes
funny
on an
TikTok.
audio platform. That's
It could be
gonna
it
go
could be a
great.
funny TikTok if you saw a funny joke. I don't know.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
I got you
Okay.
next time. I wasn't.
Wait,
I didn't do my homework
Wait,
today.
did you guys see the thing that I sent yesterday? It was marriage is just an orgate. Ruffy, you would have loved it. Shit,
So
hold
what?
on.
Marriage is
wait.
just a what?
It's an
Orgate?
orgate. It's an engineering thing. Fuck, I gotta
Hey.
find it.
Oh.
I mean, if I find it, I'll share it later.
Nothing like some good programmer humor.
Oh my god, hold on. Okay,
Hold up.
I don't
I
want to know
gotta
how
look
to
for it now.
explain how an orgate works, but fuck, it was like this professor who did it. Let me see if I can go find it. If, in the meantime, someone else please say something.
In the meantime, let's see. We got next
Yeah,
on
let's see what we got.
the docket.
I've been
Cool.
very MIA.
That's
Oh,
fine,
the
there's
next
nothing wrong
thing.
with that.
Hold on. Unique 2020 election.
Oh, I mean, we more or less went through that, but holy shit! I guess if we're talking about politics, anyways, that's gonna be a mess, because basically, once Trump is basically trying to say that, hey, all the results are gonna be election day, whereas
Uh-huh.
vote-in ballots means it's not gonna happen election day. States are gonna be counting ballots for at least a week.
Yep.
But
Apparently there's also
Oh,
early
okay, wait.
voting.
I found it. I'm sorry. I did find it. Hold on.
nice.
Okay, wait. I'm gonna link to everyone. Everyone just watch it while I talk over it. So, oh, did the video get deleted? No, the video got deleted. Oh, I'm so sad.
Oh, nice.
Is the video
Sleep, our
deleted for
person-
everyone?
I don't understand when people delete their, like, what happened here,
Bro,
right?
so funny.
It, just for context, he sent the link of, I guess, something on r/funny.
Yeah.
It got 35,000 upvotes, and it doesn't seem like something that would, a post that would hurt people, right? So why delete your own post? Like,
I
is
don't
this?
know. Man,
He
Maybe
deleted
he might
his
have
own.
gotten
Where
into
you can see he
trouble.
deleted his entire
Yeah.
account.
Oh.
U/deleted his.
maybe
his
maybe
the
I got
person
a lot
who
of hate
posted
for it, but
Wha-
essentially all
Wow.
it said,
Yeah.
all it was saying is that if the husband is right and if the husband is right and the wife is right, then the wife is right. If the husband
If
is
the
wrong,
husbin is
it's
right
an
and the wife is
organ.
right, then the- okay, I
and
see.
if both of them are wrong, then the husband is wrong. I don't know. I just found it hilarious.
Oh, is this like a
Oh.
logic
it's an orgate.
gate
It's
thing?
a logic gate. It's an orgate. Ruffy knows what I'm talking about.
Okay, got.
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
God
yeah,
damn,
I
orgate.
get it, I
I
get it.
have no clue what orgates are, but
Yeah.
I
The
vaguely
logic gate.
understand logic gates.
Damn it. Man, I wish I could just
I didn't
do
see the video. I'm guessing like the joke is that every time like the husband's wrong, the wife is always right or something.
Yes. It's an orgate,
It always
bro.
ends with the
She's
wife
the
being
one.
right.
She's the one, and the
Fair,
husband's
fair.
the zero.
Guys. As a wise man once said, "Happy wife, happy life."
Happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, it
I
sounds
should-
like a long way of saying happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, that's the motto of this podcast. We would like to say that every single time. Happy
okay
wife,
with
happy
that.
Are
Okay.
we not all single? So
Oh yeah,
Oh,
we are all single.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Wait, what? We're
not?
We're all
Hold on.
single.
Yeah.
Right.
no. Okay, let's
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Moving on.
Let's move on. Okay,
Let's
so
see.
the reason I wrote down the unique
Let's
2020
be
election.
real. 2 out of 4 people here are lying out of their teeth.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Anyways, moving on.
Okay. So the reason I put down 2020 election. This is a very interesting election for a multitude of reasons. We have the annoying orange in office, first of all. Second of all, we are living through a global pandemic where mail-in ballots for the first time in history are actually, a significant
It's
portion
more
of the votes.
widespread than just
Yeah.
people who can't go down to vote.
Essentially, right? Instead of, geriatrics and shit like that.
Right.
It's a very
We're hitting all
widespread
sensitivities.
very widespread a lot of widespread voting is going to be done through the mail. There's a few issues with this. There's a few benefits to this, and I know Tamid said it while we were doing the stupid thing. The election results will not be finalized on election day, right? And they never are technically. Technically, they never are.
Technically never are. It's just a result of the
Yep.
last 10 years of news media,
Mhm.
and basically being able to, count all the ballots up on election day. And usually just, I guess the country's been lucky in that the past, however many years, there's never been enough voters after election day to swing a vote.
It is the Super Bowl for CNN, Fox News, NBC, MSNBC.
Right,
It is
right,
the
right.
Super Bowl for these companies. Now, I have a question if anyone knows this. On election night, is that the day the Electoral College votes?
No.
Okay, so how does
No.
does
No,
anyone
no.
know?
So what all the news companies do when they start counting up delegates and stuff like that, all of those are projections, right?
Mhm.
The thing is, those projections are usually pretty accurate, given that all the vast majority of people have their votes counted by that day or on that day, right? That's why you'll see, on those sort of 24-hour wall-to-wall coverages, it'll be, Indiana's reporting in, Iowa's reporting in, right? Whenever those polls close and whenever all the ballots are tallied up, right? But then, of course, that issue here is that after the polls close, the ballots, the mailed in and absentee ballots still have to be counted up.
Okay. So the entirety of the presidential election, right, comes down to the Electoral College votes, right? So when do those actually occur, or do they occur?
That's I've
Like,
never
yeah,
actually
when-
tried looking that
So
up myself.
that's an interesting thing. It's like if these mail-in ballots come in late, right? Because we don't vote based on a popular vote, right? So it doesn't even matter technically whether mail-in
Right.
ballots come in early or late. It just depends on who the Electoral College votes for. Now, when do they vote? Like how do they know when there's enough votes to sway them, I guess? Does anyone have that answer? I mean, easily, could be no. I have no clue.
I have no
See.
idea. I'm
That
googling
requires
it right now.
some googling. Yeah. We're
Well,
all on the
okay.
case right now.
So no. Another
It
aspect of this.
says
Yeah.
it says the actual electoral vote takes place in mid-December.
Yeah, that seems right.
Okay, that does make sense.
That does seem right.
Um,
When's inauguration? January, right?
January, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually, I think the first or second week of January.
Yeah. So I mean, Trump saying, or the Trump administration saying that oh, the election has to happen on election day. It's not really true. It's just the
It's
fact
not
that election
true, but
day is a date, and
Him
it's
saying
so
that
simple.
basically lets him. He's been doing this for ages. But him saying that is just another seed to try and sow doubt into the results that come out of the election, right?
Essentially, no, yeah.
The issue being
essentially.
he's basically betting more of his supporters will vote on election day, whereas more Biden supporters
Yeah.
would vote by mail.
You know.
So one thing that could very much be a likely scenario is that on election day, we see that the popular vote that has been tallied up is leaning towards Trump, right?
Mhm.
But in the following few days or week,
Yeah.
if we see that it's leaning towards Biden because of all the absentee ballots that are counted, then Trump or his supporters could easily cry foul play and essentially, make a whole hubbub out of the process.
I mean, the term I've been hearing is blue wave.
Right.
Yeah, that would probably get a blue wave. Another thing about how this election is kind of interesting. I don't know how we had obviously a presidential election during the Spanish flu outbreak. Now, I'm not a history bug, especially about American history, but I wonder how it was taken care of during the Spanish flu outbreak in the 20s or early 20s.
Huh.
So I mean that's very much off topic, and I highly doubt we'll really get into that. But that seems like an interesting place to kind
I
of.
mean, I don't have an answer for you on that one,
Yeah.
but I know specifically there was a precedent set by like even Lincoln during the Civil War was like, oh, our country is at war with ourselves. We're still doing voting by absentee ballots, right? Like
Yeah.
that was still very widespread, while the majority of males in the North would be sent down to fight.
Yes. Interesting. I know Pratik just wrote this down in the sheet here. Says, how the fuck do we not have online voting yet?
Oh wait. Before we go
Oh,
in,
yeah?
I just googled it. 675K died in the U.S. from the Spanish flu.
600? What?
75,000 people.
675,000.
675,000 people.
670? Over 500,000 people died to the Spanish flu.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I
but the
mean,
thing
yeah.
is, our projections are like right around there, 400K,
No,
and that's just for January 1st.
I mean, yeah, that's also considering before. When is penicillin invented?
I'm googling something else right now.
Yeah.
Penicillin.
That would be
Invention.
1928.
1928, and so this is right around time, and the Spanish flu.
1918. So this is
So yeah,
10
this is
years
even
before the
we had
invention
proper.
of penicillin.
You know, we barely had antibiotics. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Not even. I mean, again, not a historian.
Historian. Hey, your
Historian.
words.
I'm not a biology historian, but I'm assuming before penicillin we didn't have anything great. We were just using meth and coke for everyone. But besides the point. So,
We're definitely this is where the disclaimer again of we are not doctors definitely comes into play.
We're not anything
Because
mostly.
while I'm inclined to agree with Nikki, there's a good chance we definitely had
Yeah.
some amount of decent medical technology.
Huh.
Although it's a valid point that hey, so you chop off an arm during the Civil War, coke for you.
Yep.
Nothing like a good
Real-
shot of morphine. Morphine is the big one, right? Let's not forget that one.
I could go for some more.
Real quick, I
What?
just wanna. I can
Hold
too.
on.
Hold on,
sir.
wait.
This is a
Before we get completely
I
off the
did-
rails, I want to answer your question you had before.
Yeah.
How did they vote during the Spanish flu breakout?
Mhm.
What they did was pretty much the same thing that's happening now. Most of the poll workers were mandated to. I mean, all of the poll workers were mandated to wear face masks,
Mhm.
and it could only be in a group of. Wait, no. They had to wear masks when it was two people or more. So if you were not alone, you had to wear a face mask, and everyone who was voting had to do the same thing.
Interesting.
It was the first masked ballot ever known in the history of America. So pretty much the same way. I don't see what they're talking about. If they talk about mail-in voting, they don't. So I don't know about that.
Right,
Well,
but
yeah.
I
It
think
was a low.
what you're saying still sets a pretty solid picture of a much more dire scenario than what we're dealing with, but a similar, idea of, mask up and try and take precautions against said virus. It's just this time it's much more politicized.
Yes.
I actually have kind of a segue into the next topic.
Into which like blissful ignorance, or are we
The
still talking
tangent.
about... Oh,
My
the tangent. Yeah, by all means, go ahead.
So I mean I understand that like they don't want any interference or anything, but at this point it feels kind of dumb because like everyone has access to all of their banking information and all of their private information online. Why can't we just vote online? Like voting is not more important than my identity, right?
I don't think that
Especially
has...
because yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say online voting is like, yeah, of course I would fucking love to vote online, right? I think the issue with online voting is not the fact that can we do it, it's the fact of like the general public in the States, the people who actually do vote, will fear voting online and fearing of getting hacked or this. But it's interesting because if you're willing to mail in ballot, or even during the 2018 elections, there was a bunch of people talking about how ballot machines are all outdated, they're really shit, and you use a pencil and a paper, it's very easy to forge. There's so many contingencies that happen with voting. It's just the general, what's the word I'm looking for, outlook on things is that it's unsafe, and that's probably because of the generation that we're in. It 100% will happen eventually, because it doesn't seem like it won't. It's just the mass public is kind of uncomfortable with it. And remember, the states are
Yeah.
generally very slow on adopting new technology, even if the internet's been around for 30 years at this point, right?
Yeah, I agree. I guess that makes sense.
The thing with online voting is that in theory it's fantastic, right? But like I keep saying, it's safety that's the biggest questionable issue. Kind of for two reasons, right? The ballot machines that Nikita, I think you brought up in 2018.
Yeah.
One of the issues with them is that ballot machines in theory shouldn't be an issue, right? But the two sort of security flaws that come into play is one, when they're hooked up to the internet, which a lot of security experts from what I've seen sort of say there's no reason for that, right? Hooking something up to the internet is just opening it up for attack or opening it up to vulnerability.
Mhm.
And the second thing being the fact that there's always supposed to be some sort of physical record of the votes that are tallied, right? So that if there's something that goes wrong on the digital end, there's still a separate way to confirm what a voter's original vote or intent was, right? As far as having online voting, let's say in a best case scenario, something as convenient as, hey, you just open up your phone and you just pop in your vote for who you want to vote for, that would be great. The issue is that infrastructure would have to be really well funded and done securely enough so as to make sure that there really is no room for attacker vulnerabilities, right? Because an online database or an online whatever sort of UI or infrastructure they set up for that would easily be one of the most targeted things to be accessed by the internet, right? Other countries, our country, like parties in our country would be attacking that. Other foreign actors would be attacking that. It would just be a security it would be like bees to honey in terms of like having people attack it.
Yeah, it would be a very much a target. Now, like government funding is a whole different topic.
Right.
I agree with Samudin. Like, there has to be such a massive team behind it to maintain it, to have it. And it's not the fact that we can't do it. The U.S. easily could do it with a fraction, with a tiny decimal of the national budget. You could very easily do it. It's just there's no public outcry. There's no innate necessity to do it. You know what I'm saying? And like you can like point towards the the failures of even mail-in balloting. Like I mean I think even John Oliver did it like a few weeks ago, where they will match your signature to your DMV. Bro, I have my license from when I was 16. My signature is not what it was before. It is nowhere near what it was before. So even my vote could be canceled because of my signature. And I'm gonna, I guess, try to recreate it, but, even a signature is not a real good indication of your identity.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, also, before we switch, I just
Mhm.
wanted to bring up some numbers about mail-in voting. Nicholas, holy cow, Bushin. He's a mailman, and his route included Orange and West Orange in New Jersey. He allegedly tossed 1,875 pieces of mail into the dumpsters, and 99 which were election ballots.
Oh, I
Okay.
heard about that
And
guy.
Wait,
yeah,
Orange
he's doing
County,
it
New York?
intentionally. No, New Jersey.
Oh, Jersey.
Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah, Orange and West Orange. I don't know where any of that is. It's Jersey, but
Jersey, yeah, bro, Jersey.
yeah, like it. I mean, damn,
The
man,
thing
that
is,
kind
when
of
it comes
sucks.
to stuff like that, is like one damn it, like fucking with people's mail is a federal offense, right? It's kind of
Yes.
like the big reason why you're not supposed to, and if you do, you get the law comes down on you real hard because postmen don't play around, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for anyone who doesn't know, the USPS have their own sort of, not the FBI, but they have their own branch of investigators. Nikki, you might be able to help me out with what their actual title is. But like the amount of work they go, the extent they go to make sure that mail fraud or like mail theft doesn't happen is ridiculous. But the other thing is
Office of
also,
Inspector General.
yes, thank you,
Oh,
the
the
inspector
inspector
Mhm.
general.
generals. Yeah,
They
they
have, they
take their
have an
shit
inspection
really
service.
seriously if people start messing around with mail,
The
right?
USPS have straight up
Mhm.
a United States Postal Inspection Service.
Yes,
Wild.
like it's wild how much they don't tolerate you messing with mail.
I mean, considering
That's a
how much you
federal
get through the
offense.
mail, like, I mean, I've heard of stories and even experienced like green cards getting stolen and like your social security card can get like it's so easy to do it, like it can happen, and those pieces of information are so critical to your fucking livelihood here that it's necessary. It is pretty much necessary. And talking about defunding it is a whole different story, but we don't.
There
need to
is
talk
one
about
other thing I do want to bring up, sort of relate to the fact that Pratik brought up the story.
Yep.
Part of the reason why this story is something that we can even talk about or we're even hearing about is actually due to Bill Barr and Trump's Department of Justice, right? Basically, what I'm referring to is that the Department of Justice has a policy where I don't know exactly what the time frame is, but it's around either a month to two. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but basically a month up to the election, they don't put out any information about cases like this, right? Basically, point being, like, if there are any issues related to voting or could be related to voting, they investigate that themselves and they save it for all till after the election, right? Point being, like, they don't want, like, the same reason why the FBI doesn't put out announce investigations on any political people close to elections, right?
Yeah.
All to make sure that the public doesn't have a misconception on a certain event simply because an investigation was opened up, right? If the FBI investigates a certain politician, but they're proved to be innocent after the election, right?
Yeah,
Then before the election, the public might think, oh, they're being investigated, something must have gone wrong,
that
right?
is true.
Of course, the
yeah,
opposite is true.
guilty until proven innocent.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is, Bill Barr put out a memo basically being like, yeah, that rule is still in effect for everything but absentee ballots and mail fraud, right?
Mhm.
Basically announcing to the world, yeah, we want to make sure that if there are any instances where public confidence in this whole system could be eroded,
Yeah.
make sure those get out there.
Yeah, this year, the 2020 elections will be, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be kind of watershed for American history. I think what we've lived through with the pandemic and since 2016, I think probably history books will
Is anyone
have it.
else? Is Nikki breaking up to
Am I?
anyone else?
Am I breaking
Sort
up?
of breaking
Just a
up.
touch.
It should
And you
it
can
should
hear,
just
like,
only
music
happen
in the
on Discord.
background.
Yeah, that should be
there-
fine. Just on Discord.
No, it was
Okay,
car
okay.
rolling by.
But yeah, no, going back to what you were saying, like, yo, historians will have it's gonna be wild for them to try and decipher exactly what's going on and set up exact timelines for, what's going on publicly versus privately.
Is Trump like the first president that's just like this unwilling to like give up his power?
Uh,
Oh, Nixon's
publicly
somewhere
yes.
up there,
No,
right?
no, Nixon ended up resigning.
Nixon.
Nixon ended up
resigned
resigning.
though.
Did
Yeah.
resign, but he got
Yeah.
caught more
The moment he got
red-handed
caught,
than
he's like,
Trump
"Yeah,
ever
leave me."
did.
Yeah, just an interesting thing is Trump will be the first impeached president to actually be on a ballot.
Yes,
Very
that's a valid
interesting.
point.
Very
That's
interesting. I mean, considering we've only had a few impeachments, the fact that he hasn't even been tried, again, whole different story. We can talk about that some other time. But very watershed. I wonder how we're gonna be looking back at this and how American history is
Are
gonna.
you
be
guys all
looking
doing
back at this.
mail-in voting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have
Oh,
my
mine's
vote.
already been
Mine
counted.
did,
yeah.
Actually, I don't know if you guys saw the link, but I managed to confirm that mine was received and counted.
Yeah, I saw
Uh,
it too. Mine was also counted, so
Yeah, I still
I'm
have
good with
mine.
voting though.
I'm gonna drop it off
I
tomorrow.
don't know
I have
that
it
as a
already.
feature.
I have it already. But yeah, we'll go from there.
Yeah, I got spooked because
Oh.
of this. Because of the mailman fucking with the ballots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna go in person.
That's
It's
fair.
an
I mean,
option.
that's up to you, but
Why?
it's also like it's. I'd say, like, I still have confidence in the USPS in general, in the people that work there, right? It's just an issue of, like, their I don't remember exactly what the position is, but the head guy that runs the USPS is a fucking
Mhm.
Trump crony who
Mhm.
is actively trying to dismantle their infrastructure.
Oh yeah, like remember those pictures of people of just mailboxes being carried away in the trucks?
Yeah, mailboxes
Wait,
carried away.
what?
Apparently, yeah, it was a while back. Look up. I believe his name is Louis DeJoy, right? It's the head of the USPS, and he was
Louis with a
appointed by
W?
Trump.
Yeah.
Louis, I believe Louis. Let me quickly double check that.
Louis
DeJoy.
DeJoy, yeah,
Yeah,
LOUIS.
Louis
Oh, yeah, I
DeJoy.
got it. Okay.
Right, so he's literally, his
Mhm.
background is nothing related to any experience in public service or in the USPS. I believe his background is actually related to his competitors, to private like mail firms. But he's basically a large Trump donor that was appointed by Trump because he's a big fat donor.
I mean,
Um,
half of Trump's appointees have been people who are
Donors?
very much unqualified for their positions.
Right.
Yeah.
Postmaster General, thank you. Yes, he's our
Postmaster
current
General.
Postmaster General.
Yeah.
And he's spent the last couple of weeks, up until Congress tried to tell him to stop, basically dismantling the USPS's infrastructure.
Oh, he's a Republican Party fundraiser. So
Even
not
better.
only is he a donor, he like is an all-around fundraiser. Fuck.
I mean, this is a great case of just like, I mean, we see this often with a lot of Trump's picks, but like there's so much conflict of interest, and yet we're just supposed to gloss over that and business as usual.
Yep, that's how that works in this administration.
Where were we?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, what was Louis DeJoy? We were talking about conflict of interest.
Oh yeah, he's a fundraiser. Yeah.
He's a fundraiser. All right, shall we?
Yes.
All right, well, back at it.
Mm.
I guess we'll just have a quick cut there.
Yeah.
But right, massive conflict of interest. We'll just act like business as usual. Apparently, not only is there a conflict of interest because of the fact that he works, he's just a donor for the Republican Party, so of course he wants them to win. He worked for a logistics firm that does like postal shipping, right? Just not for the USPS. So it's also in his best interest for the USPS to do worse, so that its competitors can pick up the business.
Like
Gives them more money.
so many of these appointees. Yeah.
Oh
I think,
There's no reaction but groaning to all this.
Yeah,
sort of stuff.
this is actually perfect for the segue of our, I guess, last topic of the day. It's already been 40 minutes. So
Yeah.
the last topic, I guess we're gonna end on this serious note. It's a pretty interesting. We've talked about this before, but let's see if we have anything new to say. It's the idea of being blissfully ignorant versus legitimately being an observer and learning about the world around us. That can bring you to kind of sometimes realize that the world is not a great place. We read all these things. For example, the pandemic, or being living in the U.S. while Donald Trump is president, even if it hasn't affected us directly. Hearing about all this or listening to all this, sometimes I think all of us, even especially during quarantine, have shared thoughts of, man, what the fuck's going on, right? Why am I even paying attention to this? I've had spurts where I just can't look at the news. Like, I actively can't do it. I can't look on Instagram. I can't look on, Twitter, just because of everything that's going on. Because I know I'm gonna get depressed. So the argument here, or the question here, is: would you rather not know and be happy, or know and understand what you're actually, I guess, absorbing? Which one's better, in your own opinion? This is pretty much subjective. There's no right or wrong answer here. Anyone?
Well,
Oh,
I think being blissfully ignorant is nice in the moment,
Hmm.
but in order to create a better future, you would have to be woke. So
Understood.
then you could actively make changes. I think it's important to note that some people are lucky enough to be able to choose between the two, and others are just forced into like a shitty situation where
Sure.
they can't be blissfully ignorant. Like I'm not
that's
like a
contextually
big
true,
black
right?
man. What?
That would be like contextually true in terms of like
Yeah.
whether or not you want to know versus you kind of have to know.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah. Like if I was like a big black man that went on a run, right? I would be more likely to be stopped than right now because I'm a small 5'4", like very. I mean, comparatively to a big black man, I'm very small. I'm not seen as a threat, right? So I'm not usually bothered. But you do hear stories all the time of joggers being stopped just because they're black and they fit the description, which is literally just gray or black or like one of those colors that are common running attire.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's just I just wanted to throw that in there before we continued.
I mean, for me at least, like, yeah,
That's my take.
I try my best to, understand or know about what's going on, whether that's in the world, in my own personal life, understand the situations that we're in, and the situations that everyone else is in and try my best to be this well-rounded person, sometimes it can get overwhelming. I think most of us can agree where sometimes you just kind of want to roll up into this ball and don't talk to anyone and just hope all your problems go away when
Well,
Yeah.
you're not really doing anything outside of just waiting until the next day to deal with them. You know, some days you have the strength to do it, some days you just don't. It's impossible to choose between the two. It's just a balance of what you are willing to take and learn from. You know, I have this idea of, and I've said this before, is always look to be a better person. Always look to be like a self improvement, right? Whether that means going to the gym, whether that means, you know, making your own mental state better, whatever that takes, do that. Now, sometimes there'll be like certain problems. I mean, I know we all were affected by this, where you know there were many stories of sexual assault coming out, right? And I remember having many conversations with Tamid about how, man, how the hell have we not seen this? Or how the hell is all this happening now? How the hell is this even possible? And every single time I looked at something, I would just get obscenely depressed, you know? And so,
I think
Yeah.
without a doubt, it's one of those things where it's like, it's when it comes to would you rather know, would you not?
Mhm.
It's an issue of even if you decide not to know,
Mhm.
it's still true,
Yes.
right? So at least like my own personal outlook is, all right, if this is happening, I might as well know,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And that's applicable to both, like, unfortunately, how messy politics are right now, to things like you mentioned before about sort of all the allegations that came out just a couple months ago, right? Because hey, if
Stories.
as much as it would be easy to just sort of turn my phone off or just
Yeah.
do something else and not read everything that's going on,
Yeah.
all of that is happening, and all of that is still true and still affecting, if not myself, then the people around me at minimum,
Yeah,
right?
with that situation specifically, it was so close to home, like meaning
Mhm.
like affecting our community, right, and affecting the women in our community. That where we should know. You know, there are certain things where you should know, and there's certain things that you should talk about, and obviously that was one of them. Now the question, I guess, is to what degree? You know what I'm saying? To what degree? In general, I'm not talking about that specific situation. To
Right,
what
right, right.
degree do you believe that sometimes we've been talking about this recently, and we'll talk about this actually soon about the social dilemma. How connected should we actually be? You know, should we always be connected? Should we always be observing all this information? And I think our generation is statistically the most depressed of all time, like from the data that we have,
I've heard that,
Probably.
yeah.
right? Is that partially
I
due
also
to
don't blame them for
right
being depressed.
right partially due to the amount of information that we are absorbing, and yes, there's positivity, but there's so much negative, you know, not just from news, not just from like events, but bro, just being trolled on the internet, you know,
Right.
by like this toxic, like, I mean, growing up as I you know, as a guy, you know, the toxic masculinity that you're around if you're in a group of boys, you know, in a lot of situations, especially in high school, right, where if you're not that type of guy, you're kind of outcasted, right? Or
Hmm.
unless you find a group of friends, well, luckily enough, I believe I was able to do in high school, that accept you for not being a dickhead, you know what I'm saying? uh and you just end up being like, you know, just fall into the shell, or you become one of those types of people, you know.
Right. I mean, I guess it really just comes back to, as far as addressing your question of, how much do you want to know, or how much do you want to not be ignorant?
Mm.
It just sort of comes down to what's healthiest for you, right? Because that's different for everyone. Um, and the healthy part isn't just sort of like, how do I put this? If you know a lot and it's all just bad news, like recently how the news has been,
Mm.
it's very emotionally draining, right?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, if you're sitting there and you're actively, trying to ignore it, that's also not the healthiest outlook for you. So it's just, I guess, trying to find some sort of that middle balance. Although sometimes that feels hard to find when there's just so
Yeah.
much bad news out there.
Yeah, there's just so much bad news, so, you know, try to balance it, I guess, is the crux of
Yeah,
the
like
issue.
Nikki, I
Mm.
think you hit the nail on the head before when you said that you only that you care about what hits home.
Mhm.
I feel like it's really hard to care about everything, so we probably just pick and choose. Like, obviously, we care about COVID the most, in terms of social or like health issues.
Mhm.
I really don't think like any of us even know or care about like maybe starving people all the way on the other side of the
Yep.
world, right? Like,
True.
Nope.
it's really
Yeah.
hard to care about that because we just don't know them.
Mhm.
Like we don't know them. Like during COVID, a lot of I'm pretty sure we know people who were affected by it, and
Mhm.
or like maybe some of us even had a loss, like an extended loss or whatever. Um, but Black Lives Black Lives Matter. That was also like really that hit home for us too,
Right.
because
Mhm.
honestly speaking, they kind of paved the way for people of color like us
Mhm.
to be accepted, to be like seen the way we are rather than subhuman.
Mhm.
Um, so at this point, we felt like we had to support them. Um, but yeah, like I don't know if I should say this, and I think we can cut this. If it does not
52-6.
sound right.
52-7. Okay, go ahead.
I on my Instagram, there were a bunch of like ads about like donating money to some charities.
Mhm.
Maybe like I think it was Yemen, and then there were some other like impoverished countries. And I fucking started blocking those ads.
Mhm.
I started calling it irrelevant or like I see it too much or shit like that because I didn't give a fuck. And it just like and I mean I know I did give a fuck because it just kept making me sadder, right? But I
Yep.
couldn't care about another topic.
Yeah.
I think to sort of maybe hop in for a moment. What you're saying on the surface, I could see why you're worried about, like, should we cut this or should we not, right?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um
like I feel fucked up
because
saying it,
no
but
no no, but I think it's like it feels like a bad thing to say, but that's also because you want to care, but you're almost tired because there's always something to care about, right?
Yeah.
If it's not stuff close to home, like everything that's going on with BLM, or if it's not the constant barrage of bad news from what's happening domestically,
Yeah.
it could be the conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan, or it could
oh my
be
god, that
The
too.
Uyghurs,
the fact
the
that,
Uyghur stuff that's going on.
right,
Yeah,
the
Am I
Uyghur
pronouncing that
stuff
right? The
in China,
Uyghur. Okay, I'm not
right?
pronouncing that right.
There's
Or
that's fine, but like there's always a constant barrage of these things, and I think the term that's most applicable here is compassion fatigue, right?
Yeah. Oh wow, that's a
That,
thing.
wow,
you can Google if you like. That's actually a thing. Granted, it's probably
I
less
believe you.
applicable to people like you and me, but it is an actual thing of sort of just feeling burnt out by having to care about all these different things, right?
Yeah,
Now compassion fatigue, to be, for anyone who's listening that is more knowledgeable about this stuff, it's definitely more applicable to people who work in healthcare and, let's say, stuff like suicide hotlines and whatnot, right? Um, but to a smaller extent, I would argue it's applicable to just the general population in that it's mentally draining for people to constantly have to deal with a torrent of calamity after crisis after problem, right? To the point where, as much as Pratik in this instant would definitely have cared about donating and responding to those advertisements, it's bouncing off of him simply because there's already other things taking up mental real estate in his head.
like
yeah.
you
Like
also
when
be
I
like
started seeing
desensitized
those
by it.
ads, sorry, Rob, go ahead.
I was saying like you also just end up becoming more desensitized by it because you just keep on seeing it and over and over again.
Yeah, I think that's a very well, no, it's not a very New York thing, but I think New Yorkers are more desensitized than other people
Yeah.
than the general public. I don't know,
I mean,
but
it might be a big city kind of thing.
but
Probably.
yeah, it's probably a big city kind of thing. But also, what I wanted to say was like around the time when COVID was happening at its peak, and all of the ads were coming in. I also was talking to like some people, some of my the cases that I had at the home care, and I had to like, I had to, I was getting a bunch of calls about like patients dying, and these are like old patients,
Well,
which
yeah, I
I mean,
remember
it doesn't make it any worse, but like it doesn't make it any better. Um, like I got calls about these patients that I would talk to, and a lot of them were really nice. I got to speak to all of them, like more some more than others. But then hearing that they died, I know they're not my family members, and I never like seen them or anything. But damn, that fucking sucks. And
Yeah.
then I think the worst one was when I had to tell one of their sons what a hospice was, because the hospital sent his father to a hospice, and he didn't know what that meant, and he asked me what that meant, and like I the best way I could tell him without outright the best way I could explain it to him without outright saying that he's likely gonna die, is that like that's where I forgot what I said. I think it was like that's where doctors send people when there's a lower chance for recovery.
Mhm.
And he was like, "What does that mean? What does that mean?" Right? Like, and he just
No.
legitimately did not know what that meant.
Yeah.
And
Oh no.
holy shit, man! I think I skipped games that day,
Oh my.
or like, yeah, dude. Like, I just started blocking everything off. Blocking the I think what most people call it is like sad porn or something, where it's just a bunch of ads asking
Oh.
you to help on
Oh.
everything.
Oh no.
I don't know if
Yeah.
that's the right term, if that's fucked up or
By
not, or
all
if
means,
it
it's
is, I
right term
apologize.
No,
now.
I have heard
Jesus,
a term
man.
similar to that, but like advertisements just trying to pull at your heartstrings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my God, dude. That's yeah. I don't think it's like possible to care about everything.
It's a rough topic, and
Yeah.
getting it, talking about it on the first episode is very interesting. We mentioned a lot of this before, but it's however much you can take. I when Tamid said the compassion fatigue, it's really pretty much that is. I don't
Yeah.
think any of us are legitimately, apathetic people. I hope. I don't think
Like
many
to think
people.
so.
I really don't think many people are very apathetic. It's the sheer amount that you are exposed to negativity and just fucked up shit in the world. It's very difficult to even in your own mental state to like keep yourself in check. You know, and
Yeah.
I mean, this will probably go into the next episode of when we talk about the social dilemma. Uh, but do you guys think if we didn't have like our phones or our internet, that you'd generally be happier?
So
I
when
think
it comes
so.
to that question, I think the answer is yes.
Yeah.
But it's also, in my opinion, a worse answer, right? In
Yeah,
that
yeah,
it's one of those things where it's like, sure, you can pull up the stereotypical, yeah, the internet has brought us all together and whatnot. But I think more important than it's like the way I look at it, and of course, if you guys disagree, please feel free, because I'm sure there are people who do,
Mm.
right?
Oh, don't worry, I
But
will.
sort of, great, always rely on you. Um, but the way I look at it is like, there's no reason you have to throw 100% of your emotional investment into every single issue that comes up, right? But at the same time, at least in my own head, I feel like it's important to at least be informed or aware of what's going on, right?
I agree with
Because
that.
these things are going on, and it's important to, at the bare minimum, to acknowledge what it is, right? And it's like there's nothing saying that you have to be invested in everything,
Mhm.
but there's also nothing saying that if you're invested in one, you have to be invested in the rest. If
That's
that
true.
if that distinction makes sense, right? Like if I were to clarify, I guess the best way to explain it is like
Yep.
if you're out there protesting for BLM, right? You're throwing all of your emotional weight and investment into that cause, right?
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with you if you're simultaneously also not protesting for let's say for Palestinian rights, or let's say for the Uyghurs, right? You might support those things,
Mhm.
right? You might have standpoints on them, but if you're throwing all your emotional investment into one cause, there's nothing wrong with that, compared to, if someone were to say, why aren't you also saying this and that, right? It's just part of, you can still be informed, still be aware of what's going on, but at the same time, there's still just so much emotional, like capacity we have to invest into everything around us.
And that's not even talking about your own personal issues. We haven't even talked about anything outside of your phone. So like whether it's family, friends, personal life, whatever that is. Especially during quarantine, so many people were not in a good state of mind. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I've spoken to many of my friends who, after graduating, none of us, getting your lives together, things like that, and even still trying to do that. Like, there's so much when it's so easy to access it, and then a lot of it we're not even focusing on the good sides of it. You know, the fact that we have all this during COVID to stay connected, for us to even be able to do, have this idea and start doing the podcast.
Yeah.
There are good sides to it. It's
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot of what we really wanted to say, unless anyone has any other ideas.
I don't
Maybe-
immediately, but I also, if I'm perfectly honest, don't want to end this on such a sort of downer of a note,
we don't need
right?
to.
But,
I
like,
was
you're
gonna
right
add a
in-
more down. No,
What's up?
I was gonna add a sadder afterthought.
Oh, do you want to share that
Do it now.
anyways?
Do it now. Do it now.
We can end with something more
Okay, sure.
positive after
Yeah,
it
yeah,
said,
yeah.
after
We'll
Pratik
talk,
dunks on the
about something
sadness.
fun afterwards. We'll talk about something fun right now.
Okay.
I think that the stress that we are facing right now, some of the people who are like less fortunate than us have been just facing for like generations.
Of course. Of
Oh,
course.
yeah.
I don't think
Right?
anyone is
And-
saying like sorry, you
No,
finish,
no.
you finish.
Yeah. No, I'm not. No, I'm not saying that we were alluding to something else.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I'm like it's really hard to expect someone to like face all of this stress, go through like school, and like expect them to focus on it like perfectly well enough to actually come up. I can't imagine like maybe growing up in like a single parent household
Mhm.
where maybe you have like a brother and one parent maybe is like barely making ends meet and they're stressed out after like maybe a shitty day at work and maybe those shitty days at work are I'm fucking going on a tangent. Let's just skip this.
No. I think
go-
without
go-
just
go
sort
ahead.
of writing that off as rambling, I think the point being is that if we're talking about emotional capacity, there's only so much emotional like investment you can apply to other things
Hmm.
when you already have like as Nikki mentioned, everything we've talked about is all irrelevant of our own personal lives, right? Of our
Oh
own
yes,
relationships
you got me back
with
on topic.
friends,
Like-
family. Yeah, don't worry. I got you with the guy. I got you with the tag in. Don't worry. That wasn't a
like,
bunch of useless
once-
rambling.
Devil.
Once you reach your mental capacity or your threshold, I feel like if you're pushed beyond that, you just stop giving a fuck or you
Oh, yeah.
kind of go crazy.
You kind of
And
go
you're
grounded.
not
right.
you can't actually like go through life and handle it all, so you kind of like let some parts of
Yeah.
some facets of your life just kind of fall. Maybe that's school, maybe that's social, maybe
Yeah.
that's
Right,
your
right.
health,
Something
right?
always
And
something could slip easily.
right, and then maybe one seeps into the other, both of those seep into the last, or I mean all of the other ones, and that's how you
Yeah,
fuck it all up.
I mean,
Gotta
it's
get
unfortunate,
ringed out.
but it's
It's
sort
a
of the
climb.
big reason why, especially now, depression is like higher than it's been for a very long time.
I feel like depression, like the numbers weren't taken before. I think it's more. I think people are paying closer attention to it now. But I do agree, or maybe not. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if depression rates have been going up or not, but I feel like it's possible that it's stationary.
Maybe. I mean, we don't actually have the statistics.
Yeah, we don't.
And again, we are, disclaimer here,
Yeah.
we are still not doctors from the beginning of the podcast.
Yeah, we're also not doctors.
True.
And we are also not saying that our problems are any bigger than anyone else's. We are simply trying to give our most objective view on this, no matter how subjective we actually have to be. Because we
Oh,
are
this is
all
subjective
individuals.
as fuck. Here.
This is
We
subjective, but
all
we are
biased as
trying to
hell.
be. We are all trying to be objective here, in a topic where you really can't be objective. But besides the
Yeah.
point, I'd like to end this segment with a "it'd be like that sometimes." So
It'd be like that sometimes.
it'd be like that sometimes.
It do.
It do be like that.
You know,
I mean, I
we
think-
should have like something on the soundboard for this. Like,
I can get
we,
something.
Yeah, like
Robbie
that.
could just press it and it'd be like
It'd be like that sometimes.
Something like
And we
that.
can easily get it
Okay.
be like
we'll
that
save
sometimes.
that for after the pilot episode.
The next,
yeah,
the
we
next, the next episode then.
I mean,
If we're trying to be optimistic, like, should we? I don't know. Should we talk about, or should we ask each other? I don't know. This might get too mushy, so
Yeah.
please feel free to shoot me down.
yeah.
But like, should we talk about like something optimistic we're trying to work on or look forwards to for ourselves, or is that
Right now, or is
dumb?
that
I
every
don't know,
single
man.
time?
No, like the four of us. I don't know. Is that mushy?
Right now, I'm currently busting Tamid's ass at this fitness competition, and he owes me money.
Ah.
So we out
Oh,
here,
yeah.
yeah, gang shit.
Well, I guess
Danty was
if
beating
I'm
all of
gonna
us.
be tagged in here real quick, I'm getting my ass busted, but I'm also looking forward to busting ass eventually. Look, man, it's
Why do you want to beat
COVID's
my
rough,
ass, bro? Why do
but
you
we're all trying to work out where we can.
want to
It's a
beat
rough
my
time.
ass so much, bro? What's good? Trying to say something?
All right, the hanky pankies for after the podcast.
Okay. Okay,
Oh
boys.
my God.
Secure the bag. All right. Rafi, anything you want to say?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been trying to like keep myself busy. Probably gonna start like a Udemy course on like data science or big data or something. Try to
Hey.
like,
Nice.
you know, branch out,
Mm.
find a job so I can,
Live.
do stuff, live my
Nice,
life.
fair,
Yeah,
fair.
man.
Yeah.
Once COVID's better, hopefully the job markets the job markets get better too. Oh
Yep.
my God.
And
Finding
we,
a job is
we really don't care about what
struggle.
Pratik has to say, right? Like, I can move on.
Yeah, we can move on. That was it. No, that was
No,
it.
go ahead. You can say whatever you want to say.
No,
but
no,
Here
that-
I
that
thought we were
was
trying to be
literally
all
it.
healthy and positive.
no, we gotta add in our actual personalities here somewhere.
Fair. I think a whole
Okay.
lot of our personalities
Oh.
come out, especially in that last bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So I mean, if you guys want to continue, we can do the Netflix party if you guys want to do that. Want to talk about the boys?
Netflix.
I'd say should we just
Oh,
save
right,
the
right.
social dilemma for Friday, or like just do like Netflix party
Yeah.
for the social dilemma this
I
week?
haven't watched the Social Dilemma yet, so I
Yeah,
gotta watch.
I was just
first.
saying we could talk about the boys considering all of us have watched
Oh,
it.
I know, but like we've
Oh,
hit
yeah.
like
Yeah.
what, an hour or something? now?
It's just over an hour and 7 minutes.
Okay.
We can end it here.
Just-
I'm kind of fine with like this, but if you guys want, I'm fine with going ahead if you want.
Let's take a vote. I'm okay with ending it here.
Same.
Same.
Democracy.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, my vote doesn't matter.
Wait,
Rafi's vote doesn't
wait.
matter.
Hold on. Rafi lives in Wisconsin, so his vote is worth way more than all
Oh
three
my
of
god.
ours.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All
We
right.
continue
Me
now.
and all
No,
the
no.
deer like in my
I don't
backyard.
think Rafi even voted
Raf-
yet.
Rafi has a rifle. I swear.
Is this all still in the podcast? Are we still live?
Yeah, we're still here.
Oh,
we're
all right.
still-
Well,
okay, we're still live.
We can
Alright.
keep that in.
Alright,
'Cause
let's,
that's fucking real.
Let's end it here.
Yeah.
Thanks for any of my friends or
Fuck the
teammates, friends.
Electoral College.
anyone who made it to this point,
I doubt
I'm
many people would.
genuinely impressed,
Seriously.
surprised, and maybe I'll see you next week. We'll
I
all
feel
see you next
sorry.
week.
Sorry for whoever made it to this point.
But
Whoever made it to this point, congratulations! I will buy you a cookie. Probably not.
Yo, what if we blow up and this one gets like a million views or something?
Yeah,
I'm not
I
buying
have
a
to do a
million
lot of
cookies.
editing.
if
I have
it
to do a
blows
lot of
up and
editing.
gets a million views, to me, I will give you a hanky panky in the middle of Times Square.
Okay, wait. Hanky
Wait.
panky doesn't have to be sexual, guys. Hanky panky could. I don't like this anymore.
I'm ending the
No,
podcast.
this is-
Thank
it
you
is.
everyone for
I
think
listening.
you 100%
I'm
need
to
ending the
do
podcast.
that.
Goodbye.
Good night, please, you all.
Goodbye.